we're moving into an uncharted terrain. But in 2018, I wrote an opinion piece where I basically said that there is a need for us to start now thinking as a country about the regulation of coalitions. Because it was clear to me during that period after 2016 that the days of one dominant political party are over. And it has always been an anomaly in a proportional representation system to have one dominant political party. And of course, there are reasons that are unique to South Africa, because South Africa comes from a history of liberation, and then therefore the African National Congress, as a party that represented the interests of people who were oppressed, was always going to be a dominant political party. And the fight was against apartheid, and therefore a liberation movement fighting against the apartheid system was always going to be dominant. But proportional representation system is premised on power sharing. You get represented based on the number of votes you get seats as a result thereof. And it's different from first past the post system, which is the winner takes all. You win, and then you take everything. So, in a way, we've had a winner takes all in a proportional representation system. And I'm saying to you that it's an anomaly, because that should not be happening. Because proportional representation, whatever interest groups are there within the society, it's supposed to be about power sharing within those interest groups, whether they be political parties or interests of minorities or whatever arrangement we have. So 2016 comes, and then the African National Congress begins to go on a decline. And I call it a leveling playing field. Because now South Africans are beginning to elect, not based on the history, but based on what they think is good for the future. And that's why in 2016 the ANC loses all these metros. And we now have a situation where, after 2024, we've got a situation where even at the national and provincial level, you don't have one dominant party. But like I'm saying, I advocated for regulation even in 2018. And I had learned from the Kenyan situation as well as the German situation. Germany has been under coalition since the Second World War. Kenya introduced much later mechanism to regulate coalitions. So what is it that we learned from the German experience? German experience, and then we wrote, my son who works with me, Nkululeko, has written a concept document on coalitions. He's an attorney, and then when he finished, I said to him he was going to come and pay for his bills by working with me. But in this document, basically what we have looked at is the German experience. Germany, because they've been in this space for such a long time, they were, after the elections, constituted, like the last elections, 22 committees. All these committees were looking at different areas. You had a subcommittee looking at the role of the central bank, energy, another one on industrialization, on agriculture, etc., but about 22. So they agree on a program of action. And then after having agreed on the program of action, then they can agree on allocation of responsibilities to each other. And it took them 6 months to finalize this. In South Africa, after 2024, political parties had 14 days to agree with this, come up with some kind of an agreement. And then, so we were ill-prepared as a country. I was part of the conference that the Deputy President Mashatile organized in Cape Town, where we were looking at this issue of coalitions. But immediately after that, they said no. we're not discussing it. You must not think about it. So we stopped thinking. And then we found ourselves, but I told them, I said, you're going to find yourself in this situation. So, how sustainable is this? Already we have seen the differences between the two major political parties, which is the ANC and the DA, on the interpretation of just basic things. So it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult, and then that's why regulation is important on matters like this. And then we have advocated for establishment of a structure similar to CCMA, where you can deposit agreements. Because political parties have shown that they don't have the maturity and the capacity to manage themselves. And then therefore they will not be able to have the capacity to manage the relationships amongst themselves. So you need an independent body to look after them. In Kenya, the registration organ where they deposit the agreements. So I'm suggesting that South Africa is going to have to move in that direction and not rely. If you look at the agreement that they have, they call it good faith. Good faith does not even work in marriages. We've tried it in relationships through fat and sit, and fat and sit has never worked. Because when a person is unhappy in a relationship, they just walk out. And that's it. And that's what you have currently in Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, and everywhere. It's a fat and sit. We need a marriage. So that you've got the marriage certificate, there's a contract. And there've got to be consequences if you get out of that marriage. And then what are those consequences? And that's where we should be beginning to look into going forward.